And I think we're recording. I think we're live, so to speak.
Yeah.
We have a live studio audience today. Um,
Yes.
hey everyone. We're happy to say hi to you and through the cybersphere see your smiling faces. I am saying hello to you from beautiful Western North Carolina. If you listen, you can hear the
Yeah.
creek that runs through my mom's property. It's pretty cool. Anyway, the trees, that's not a backdrop, and the coat and layered clothing is not for effect. It's 24 or 25 degrees right now as we speak, which is why I have coffee, which may or may not have something additional in it.
Like, of course. Well, it's my day off, so I'm gonna start off with something really, really Dutch as well. I'm having myself a beer because it's after 12 in the afternoon, so
That's right.
that's
That's right.
fine.
Well, or
Yeah.
as they say, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hmm.
So jumping into it, and
Right.
Tone and I were talking about this right before uh, we we went live. Um, Regrets, and what would you do different? And I think you're not human if you don't at some point in your life look back and reflect on something you did and maybe how you could have handled that differently, done it differently, approached it differently. And I
Mm.
want to add this caveat. It was the most amazing bit of wisdom I heard a father give his little 4-year old, and he said to him, because where they were walking was sensory overload, and the little boy is looking everywhere, taking everything in, and he's constantly walking and looking over his shoulder. And
Right.
he said, Junior, keep up. It's okay to look behind you, but if you keep looking behind you, you don't see where you're going. And I thought, man,
Yeah.
that's probably not meant to be as profound as it was, but I thought, for those of us who get stuck in our past,
Right.
you don't see the
It's a
opportunity in
great,
front of you.
great, yeah. It's a
But
great metaphor. Never heard of that one. Yeah,
no,
but it sounds great.
I hadn't
Yeah, it
either.
does. Yeah.
It was
Very
amazing to
profound.
hear. It is very profound. It was amazing to hear this dad say this
Right.
to this
Yeah.
little boy. Um,
It is a deepity.
a deepity. We've just created a new
Yeah.
word, ladies and gentlemen. It's
No,
public.
no, no, no.
No, I like
It's not
deepity.
mine.
Nope. Well,
It is cool. Yeah. I
whoever's
can tell
created it,
you.
we're giving you credit.
Oh, I can tell you who coined the word. It's the daughter of a very famous philosopher, an American, by the way. He's called Dan Dennett, and it's like a deepity. Well, a deepity. It's not like no. What you just said is not really a deepity because a deepity is something that you say. It sounds really profound, but it doesn't mean anything. But
Uh,
this meant something, so it's not really the right comparison. But I thought it was a funny word. I had to throw it in there.
that's funny.
Anyway, so we got to remember that for a common episode.
I
Really,
like that
that's really
idea.
funny. Anyway,
Trying to figure out. I
yeah,
see. I
and
apologize to everybody for being. Oh,
yeah.
here we go. Is this better? Is this better? Can you see me better now?
Better.
Am I louder? I don't want
Oh,
to
I
keep
can see you better, but I'm still missing. I'm missing the top of your head. I don't know
top of my.
if
How's
that's a
this better?
problem for anybody.
Is this okay?
Because yeah,
Now you
the
can see.
most beautiful features in your face is in the middle anyway. So
There you go. So,
well, anyway,
I've given this a great deal of thought. I've done career days, I've done keynote speeches, I've done some conferences, and I have had a great deal of uh, opportunity come my way to talk about my entertainment career and all of the great good fortune bestowed on me. And
mm,
I think
yeah,
the first thing because when people say, what would you have done differently? Um, and it kind of ties into the regret piece. I would have been more patient with myself and others because, and there's the
okay,
regret piece. I regret when I didn't know enough and yet, my pride walked before me, and and it's just terrible because you miss out
Right.
on all these great opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't know if I fully agree with that. I think you're giving yourself a little less credit than you should, because of your personality and the way you are, and the things that you did, coming from your own personal me, also create a lot of opportunities. You know, if you can be a little bit more careful, but then maybe the opportunities that you got in life maybe did not occur. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a
So
great
yes,
that's a great point. I don't yeah, and I don't
yeah,
that's a great point. I don't think I've been one to shy away from a challenge or a risk or our first week of
right,
training, our first week of training at
yeah,
Walibi, we walked over and started talking to, the Dutch military was there doing their rappel training from the Condor. And we said, "Hey, we're American stuntmen.
yeah,
can we jump in with you guys?"
right.
I'm
I
fully
completely.
expecting the Dutch military to say no. And they said, "Yeah, wat hem niet." Well, okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
We climbed to the top of this coaster, which is what happened. They they allowed us to climb to the top of this coaster
yeah,
and rappel with them. In America, that would not
right.
happen.
That would never happen. No, no, because of all the liability and the lawsuits, and
Uh,
if something went wrong, stuff like that. Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
but
Yeah, well,
the
yeah.
Dutch CO, I guess, felt, yeah, you're American stuntman. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, that'll work fine. Yeah, come on, do it. Let's join. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, stuff like that used to happen in the Netherlands as a lot of times. Although this is the whole Netherlands way of uh, handling things is going a little bit more towards the American way of doing things. And go like, oh no, 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 please, no, don't. It's like a lot of more caution and a lot of more people are afraid to be held accountable for something going wrong and stuff. So it's changing over here as well, but still, that's a lot more freedom here than in the United States. That's for sure.
It's funny you
Did I
bring that
just
up.
say that?
No, no, no. It's
Yeah,
funny
it's
you
funny
bring
that
that up, though.
I.
It's funny because
Yeah,
my mom and I were talking about this very thing this morning. It said, well, I don't know how
yeah,
things are over there, but you and I have had this conversation about how, some things are shifting, becoming more Americanized, and
yeah,
maybe that's not a
yeah,
good thing.
yeah, yeah. And I'm sure it's not because you can't shield off every danger that comes your way. I heard a podcast from an American woman who is living here in the Netherlands, and she told the audience about that the children here in the Netherlands, they go to school on their bicycle. In America, that's like, huh? What? Are you kidding me? Go let your kid go on a bicycle to school? What are you thinking? And here it's a normal thing. Because in America they would go like, "Are you nuts? Jesus, man, that's way too dangerous.
Well,
What are you
it used to be
doing?"
a thing, but yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel like this is a perfect thing that we could segue into for our next episode. But
yeah,
not letting you off the hook, I want to hear about any thoughts of things that, well, I would have done that differently, or that's a thing I regret doing.
right, right. And I used to think about that a long time. Yeah, I used to think like that a lot, what you just said. And by accident, I came across somebody on the internet, a philosopher as well. Of course, that's what I do. I listen to a lot of philosophers. I don't know, I can't help myself. That's what I do. And I came across this guy and he said, well, you never should have any regrets on what you did, because if you didn't do it, maybe your life would have taken another turn. You never know if it's for the better or for the worse. So never regret anything in your life. Just do your thing. Just live your life, and life comes your way as you think it does, because you have no reference. You never know what would have happened if you did things differently.
That's a great,
There you go.
point. You don't know. You don't
Yeah,
know.
you don't
You
know.
can
So, so
you can
yeah,
armchair theorize, but
right.
you
So
don't
how,
know because you didn't live that alternate
right,
universe.
right. For instance, what if what if we didn't have that big clash at, that
Yes.
I said something before my turn, unaware of it, of course, I didn't know. And we didn't have that fallout, and we didn't have the confrontation that we had. Maybe our relationship didn't start at all,
So
for all we
so
know. We don't.
let me give a little context to our audience. What Tone is talking about is one day at the show, I made a comment and it was kind of smart alecky and it was unnecessary. And after the show, and Tone, to your credit, because you were very professional about this, offline, away from everybody else, nobody else heard you. You approached me and you said, "Hey, mate, I don't appreciate you talking to me that way. Please don't do that again." And you're very direct about it, but also you didn't showboat, you didn't grandstand and make it a big deal in front of everyone. You talked to me, and I thought, well, yeah, and it was you pushed a reset button for me where I went, okay,
Right. Yeah.
I
Right.
shouldn't
Right.
have said that, and it wasn't a considerate thing. And you and I, if you asked us if this were like some version of the dating game where we
Mm,
got separated and we were asked the same question, and that question would be, when did you feel that you and Tone
mm.
really connected? You and I have the same answer. It's
Right.
the
Of
road trip
course
to
you
Den
do.
Haag,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. A road trip
you
to
can't,
Den Haag.
yeah, you can't spend several hours in a car with someone else
Mm,
and not talk and
mm.
not learn. And that's why, that's why
Right.
I like asking you these questions like, what are your regrets, or do you have them? And what are the
Mm,
things you would have done differently? Because you have
yeah.
a very practical, very pragmatic, very open-eyed approach to experiences.
Yeah.
I find that genuinely refreshing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get so stuck in where we were
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
miss out on opportunities.
Yeah. Of course you do. Yeah. It's not to say that I don't have any regrets. Of course you do, because that's human. Sometimes you wish things you would have done differently, because they don't feel right. It hurts you, but that's a different thing. You know what I mean?
So
So yeah, yeah.
how do you deal with that? How do you forgive yourself? How do you give yourself a pass, give yourself grace when it
Mm,
comes to regrets? And we'll keep it in
mm.
context. Let's say we're talking about entertainment, because if we're talking about personal relationships, I feel you and I could go off the rails. But
Oh my God.
where that ties into entertainment.
Yeah, well, yeah, not necessarily entertainment, but my entire working career, I could have done things differently, and I do regret that. But on the other hand, then I wouldn't have met you. I would have met Yvonne. I wouldn't be married to her, stuff like that. But what I do regret is that I what we talked about the last time. That's having a backup plan. That's something that I didn't do. That's why I know that is very, very necessary to do so.
So
Because yeah,
may I stop you real quick
I didn't do.
because
Yeah.
because you did talk about that, and you and I didn't we didn't agree. Our thoughts weren't completely aligned on that. But I want to point out to everybody,
Uh,
even though even though Tone, even though you don't and didn't have a backup plan, you've still managed
I did, of course. You
through
deal.
the course of
Yeah.
your entire adult life and entertainment. So,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
turns out
Yeah.
it turns out that not having a backup plan still worked out
Yeah,
okay for you, and that by not having a backup plan, you were forced to be fully invested.
yeah, yeah. But that was not completely my credit, of course, because I always also was lucky that I met my beautiful wife, and she had a steady income as well. So we always had a basis to do stuff that we liked, and we did for
Right,
a while. And
right.
due to certain circumstances, she had to stop, of course, and we all know why. It was kind of traumatic as well. But that aside, but it did enable me and her as well to pursue our creative careers endeavors. That's the thing. So I did have a backup plan, but it was not like I planned it. And but you do have the capacity to plan it. Everybody does
Yes. And
because you have, yeah.
you can do it
So I was lucky,
at any
but
time.
it's yeah, it's very sensible to make sure that you have a backup plan for just in case you can make it professionally as a creative person. That's it. So yeah,
But there's
I kind of I do regret sometimes that didn't have that backup plan.
but
I got lucky, you know?
there's another point. Even
Yeah.
boy, this is the topic for several episodes, I think. You know, because honestly, I also feel it becomes a kind of therapy, not just for us, but for anyone watching, because that's what it comes down.
Hopefully.
That's what it comes down to is, you know, we all have regrets. How do we manage those
Yeah.
regrets? And most importantly, like you said earlier, I'm really hard on myself.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
but but I also
I completely forgot my answer. Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I think I think it's important to figure out how to give yourself a pass. And how did you come by that? Because if you think about it,
Mm.
your creative outlets are not just when you're standing on a stage with a microphone in your hand.
Hey, it's a lot of different things. Yeah. But you have to just have to find out because you don't know in advance what you can do or what you can't do. You just know that you like to do creative stuff. And, if you think you have the will and the confidence to make something happen, just go for it. Just try. And if it doesn't work, well, it doesn't work. But if you're confident, you will succeed, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I like that.
Because
I like that. Um, and I also want to share with everybody, I have never met an individual more willing to learn and more aware of how it's important not to limit his own development than you. You're
mm,
constantly, oh, I remember going with you to first time I went with you to Center Parks during this last visit, and I was looking at how the stage was set
mm,
up, and I just made a couple of suggestions on how it would be a better
right.
show ready stage, and there were safety concerns,
Yeah.
and you looked at it and you went, I never thought of
mm,
that before, and you immediately went up there and you made those adjustments, and I thought, you know, there's so many people, especially if it's their thing, that in one ear, out the other. They're like,
mm.
okay, whatever you say. But you have never been that way. You have always, you've always been open
I
to the
hope.
idea, like
Yeah. Yeah.
the Halloween things that happen. You're constantly running ideas by me, like, oh yeah, or do this to plus it, or add this as well, and
Yeah.
that's
Or the
important.
other way around, of course. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And also, it's very useful to get the ideas that are handed to you for free, like in your case, that your mind starts working on it. It's really important to think about it, and from ideas come other ideas, or you
yes.
adjust the
Plant,
idea that makes it work, and then it
plant the
can
seed.
evolve into something completely different. And that's the beautiful thing about creative thinking.
Yes, plant,
And
always
being
plant the
able
seeds.
and being able and allowing yourself to always be open for more information and stuff. Never be cocky or self-confident or stuff like that. You always have to be open for other people's creative inputs, because then that will grow. You can grow
Feedback,
always.
feedback is a gift.
Feedback.
Feedback is a gift, and
Yeah,
things
that's a gift. Yeah, funny. That's a yeah. One of my colleagues
you
from
don't
Central
you don't
Parks
always
always
realize
said that.
that. You don't
See
always
it as a
realize
gift.
it
See
is.
it as a gift, he says. And I like that. It's very profound. Yeah. And it's also it became a running gag in Center Parks as well. If somebody has trouble receiving feedback, or maybe negative feedback, or however you want to call it, we used to go like, yeah, well, you see it as a gift. See it as a gift. Be happy with it.
Well, you
It can
know,
grow.
in theater, and you probably know this, in theater, if someone
Yeah.
pushes back, I've been in productions where the director's giving notes after rehearsal, and then you have people in the show just start pushing back. And first of all, there's no reason for it. Second of all, there's no room for it. The director is the director. And if you have an idea,
Right.
you have to present it as an idea. But if you push back, and in one particular case, this
Yeah.
individual was pushing back and just would not relent. And
Yeah.
someone else finally said,
Yeah.
just take the damn note.
Exactly.
And you
Shut the fuck up.
you can't take it personally. You
Yeah.
cannot take
Right.
feedback personally, even if it's someone who's being mean. Take a moment to
Right.
process it, because for you, if it doesn't apply to you, discard it. But in most cases, when we're getting feedback, it's actionable, which means we can take that and do something great with it.
Yeah. You can always talk about if you see different things differently, but not at that moment. At that moment, somebody else is in charge with the placement and the way the intention of the acting and everything like that. So you have to listen at that moment to the director. You know, you can always give your input, but you have to do it not in an offensive way, so to speak, and not at that moment, because that's not the time to give your input. Shut the fuck up and do your job.
Right.
That's the difference. Yeah, I know. I know. Everybody every once in a while disagrees with the director.
But there's two ways to do it. And one way
Ja,
is always
natuurlijk.
more appropriate.
Ja, natuurlijk. That's it. Ja, ja, absoluut.
So, and
So,
I think just as you brought that up, it occurred to me that's something I would have done differently, because it's something I work on every single day, which is, how can I take this information and apply it? How can I take this information and process it? How can I take this and not become defensive about it? Early in your career,
right,
a lot of entertainers, no matter where they are and what they're doing, they become defensive, and they think my decision is the right decision. And I'm always reminded of that line from Hamilton, talk less and smile more, and never let them know what you're against or what
yeah,
you're for. Just process all the information, because
right.
you have more allies when you listen. And I don't think
Oh yeah, of
people
course.
realize that.
Yes, yes, respect.
I can't tell you how many times
Mm.
on film sets I wound up getting more work just by showing up and being there on the sidelines or jumping in to help, and not saying
Yeah,
anything, not giving any feedback or insights, just keeping my yap shut. And then I wind up getting a call from the stunt coordinator saying, "Hey, what are you doing? We need
right,
someone to do
right,
some driving next week," or, "Hey, next season we've got this coming."
right, right. Okay, to circle back to the whole thing, how do you deal
Yes.
with regrets that you feel? Um, I think well, regrets are there uh, and they stay in your mind. They will never go away. So it becomes a part of you. And every once in a while they pop up in your mind. But the pain of making the mistake or having the regret it starts leveling out, and it stings you a little bit and a lot less over time. And then all of a sudden, they're nothing more than a little stingy memory that doesn't feel very well, but doesn't last very long as well. So that's how I feel it, and that's the way it is, I guess, for everybody.
And I
And
think
a lot of people, yeah,
something else that's important is you get to a place where you don't carry those regrets with you anymore, or do you still have some regrets that appear from time to time to remind you that they're there?
yeah, of course, all of the, yeah, I do have that all the time. Not all the time, but sometimes when, but they get triggered. If you come in a similar situation or something like that, it reminds you of the time that you made this big beep up. And so, for instance, I'm an animal lover. You know who I am. And we used to have a dachshund. A dachshund? How do
Yep,
you say it?
that's
That's a,
correct.
yeah, bad words. And it was a really sweet animal. Had one flaw. It ran away the whole time. So the times that I had to go after him and bring him back in the yard, it's fucking like timeless. I can't even know how much of time it was. And once I lost my self-control and I grabbed him and I threw him over the fence. Can you imagine that? And he landed on the pavement. And of course, he has these really little skinny legs. He fell with his jaw. He smacked on the pavement, and I saw him hurting. I saw him hurting like crazy, and I did it, and I immediately like that I had this cringe, and I went like, "Oh fuck!" And that regrets me every once in a while. It hurts me also. I still feel the pain of doing that.
Yep.
So the story about this is sometimes you do things, and in hindsight you go like, "Oh my God, what have I
Well, you
done?"
know what?
And you still feel the pain. You still feel the pain. You always
Owen,
do.
I just realized
Yeah.
though, I just realized what you shared also shows, there's a lesson there for the rest of us, which is, maybe take a moment, because that moment can mean the difference between a lifetime of regret and,
Mm,
real quick example, and we're wrapping up this episode. So this is
yeah.
perfect. But, Finn, is a senior dog. He's 15 and a half years old. And I sometimes find myself being very impatient with him, and getting to the cusp of losing my patience with him. And then I realize he's a senior dog.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't move as quickly. He can't
Right.
see as well. And
Right.
sometimes he doesn't make it out into the yard. But you know what?
Yeah.
Always been there. He's very protective. He looks over the family. He
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
stands guard. He has brought years of joy, and he kind of triggers the question, who rescued who, which is a fun thing that people and their
Yeah.
their their rescue
Exactly. Yeah.
counterparts
Yeah.
will often ask. So,
Yeah.
and I think, I think it's important that you bring this up, this matter of regret and how you manage it, because and this is something that we could obviously go into in another episode. It's almost like here in this
Yeah.
country, mental health is only
Mm,
just now being discussed, but it's not being discussed as vibrantly as it should be. And I think how to
mm.
manage those things.
Yeah.
I
I know.
I
I'm.
think I think we just have
Uh,
to, for starters, we rely
mm,
on that network of our safety net of people around us, and we don't always do that.
yeah. Nay. But also, I must say, but it's my personal opinion. I think the whole mental health issue is kind of too much inflated right now at this moment. It's like
Is that there in
what
the Netherlands? Because I think here in the States, it's still not getting the conversational airtime it needs.
okay, well, here in the Netherlands it's like it's kind of became normal, which it is, of course. You can get a mental health problem, but it's also very important that you steer people away from lingering on in their self-pity,
Right.
or their
Right.
wallowing in their misery. Sometimes you have to go like, okay, I had a bad time. Now it's done. I have to move on with my life, and
All right.
that's also a big thing. I,
So you know what? I want you to hang on to that because that's
yeah,
going to lead us into our next episode. I really feel we can peel the onion back on that. So,
yeah,
any quick last thoughts before we we sign off?
yeah. I do the bit, and also I have a lot of regrets for what I did to the little dog. But the biggest lesson was that he still loved me afterwards, and that's beautiful.
You know what?
That's a dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I for a long time I had regrets for, the way that I snapped at you because it was not appropriate, but I'm thankful that you loved me
Nah,
afterward. You loved me
I
afterward.
forgive you. Yeah, I forgive you big time. No problems.
Everybody, we appreciate you watching and listening. If you like, as Tone said, what do you do?
Subscribe.
That's right. Click
Oh
this.
yeah, I like.
Yeah, hit like, click subscribe, tell your friends, and they'll tell friends, and they'll tell friends,
Yeah,
and
they
that's
can
it.
hang
All
out
right,
with us too.
we're gonna
Cool.
sign off for now. And obviously, the topic for the next episode. We're just going to continue on this tangent right here. Everybody, have a great day. Thank you again for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you soon.